I greet you in the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And hey, I got to mention both Jesus and Muhammad's names. Peace be upon them, both of you. Looking at the Underground Railroad. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. So after you get through looking at Fox and CNN and ABC, Day News, get the real news on Underground Railroad television show at 10:30. And you know what? It's hot to the people that are looking at this in Chicago and in cyberspace. Okay, so today we're gonna basically focus in on Chicago. We may deviate, but that's what the main focus is gonna be. And I have my main man here. And don't think nothing funny. I mean, my guy right here, Ace, because I know it's a lot of strange people out there. I'm Magari, and I'm saying it wrong. Abanagari, okay.
Abanagari and Duga.
Okay, and he's teaching me, and Swahili. Yeah. And I want to say, Ace, thanks for being part of the Underground Railroad television show. I appreciate that. Yeah. You have definitely express yourself the way you want to learn more about the behind the scenes, and thank you. Okay, but tell the people something about yourself and about the show before we get into the conversation.
Okay, well, I'll try and capsulize basically exactly where I am coming today. First of all, let me say this. In my lifetime, anybody who might know me or be familiar with me will know for a fact that I've worn a lot of hats in my life. Mm-hmm. I've worn a lot of hats. I've done a lot of things. Businessman, not only that, I was one of those boys. I was one of them boys back in the days and whatnot who kind of brought it. Let me put it another way. Some people refer to me. I was a bad boy, but I ended up becoming a good man. Mm. So on the heels of that, I went on and got myself a formal education and whatnot, and eventually
Where at Columbia School of Broadcasting, right?
No, I went to Columbia College.
Okay.
It was not Columbia.
Okay.
I went to Columbia College undergrad, and then I did my graduate studies over at U of I. But the fact of the matter is, I still would like it to be known that I'm still one of those boys. I'm still one of those off the corner boys who just kind of got away from the corner, so to speak. Now, since that particular time, I have become a playwright. One of my plays, one of my stage plays has been on stage, and when I was about to go on tour, and I got several other stage plays that are in the works right now, mm-hmm. along with the fact that I've created my own organization called the Worldwide Africans Network, which we're in the process of doing some big things with.
I'm looking forward to being a guest one day. But go ahead, brother.
By all means. So I come from kind of what they could call a colored background, checkered background.
Okay. You know what, Brother Ace, and for the people that's looking at this television show on the internet, or on television, which I can't go Facebook Live yet, which I'm irritated about that. But we talk about Chicago.
Yeah.
There is corruption in Chicago, man. I mean, Mel Reynolds, Jesse Jackson, Blagojevich. I can't say Gus Savage because the Jew Anti-Defamation League attacked him, but Minister Farrakhan came to his defense. What do you think about the corruption that is going on in politics in terms of them being able to vote themselves a raise anytime they want to, but they don't want to give people higher wages? They payoffs. What happened to Blagojevich? What do you think about that, man? Well, Chicago can be a very corrupt place in Illinois.
Absolutely. And first of all, they don't call it Crook County for nothing. Okay? and the fact of the matter is that the state of Illinois has had more people sent to prison than from out of its political coffers than anywhere else. The governors here, they got multiple governors that have been sent to prison over the years and whatnot. Not to mention all the people involved in the political positions that they've held here in the city. So more of them have been sent to prison or brought up on charges, I should say, more so than any other state in the country for that matter. And it's because of that it's taken on this derogatory or this underlying name of Crook County. But the thing that I'd like to mention and highlight is the fact that A lot of the corruption that you talked about, it's not something that was instituted by us as a collective, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
We are basically the reactors, the sub-beneficiaries, the sub-contributors, and this is not something that we instituted and has actually become a part of our initial policy. I think that this is just something that we have become respondents to, and some of us fall victim to it. But we're no less guiltier than any of these other multitudes of people who have been participating in the same kind of anti-social behavior in the first place.
Okay. You know, when we look at corruption in politics, then I'm gonna get to the police department. Do you think that Governor Blagojevich was unfairly put in jail for saying that he was going to do something, but he didn't actually do it? And then, do you think Michael Madigan, which is the Speaker of the House, has something to do with that?
From my understanding, I believe that there was some personality conflicts involved in that particular issue. But one thing that becomes glaringly true to me is the fact that I do believe that in his case, he was over-sentenced compared to some of the sentences that other people have received for committing some of the same type of offenses and whatnot across this country. And I think that he was, for whatever reason, he was somewhat over-sentenced and over-punished, if you will.
So you think it would be do you think that it would be just that President Trump, which he's contemplating, giving a former mayor of Chicago, Illinois, I'm talking about Chicago, Illinois, a pardon to exonerate himself?
Well, you mean, are you asking me whether or not I think he's entitled, or he should?
Do you think President Trump should do that? Because he's contemplating that right now.
Yeah, well, like I said before, the only factor that stands out in my mind is the fact that he was a bit more over-sentenced than other people were sentenced who were convicted of some of the same offenses. And in his particular case, it just stands out that it sounds as if someone made an exception of him. And it also sounds somewhat personal, politically personal to me, that he was sentenced to the extent.
So it'd be a good thing if Donald Trump did that. Okay.
Well, I think that most people. I mean, but you know what? I believe that across the board, if you're gonna reconsider his sentences, then you should take that across the board and reconsider the punishment and the draconian sentences that a lot of other people.
Now, draconian. Now, you in a different audience, and my audience, like me, I don't even know what draconian means.
Well, draconian basically means that something is like overly severe.
Okay.
It's overly severe, that a person is over-punished, and it's not only that, it has to do with, it's kind of antiquated, it's an antiquated practice, so to speak, and whatnot, so.
People that's watching Underground Railroad, when he come with a big word that I don't understand, y'all probably don't understand either, but I'm gonna ask him to explain it.
I don't think that you should underestimate the intelligence of your audience. I really don't. I think that there are a lot of people.
I think you just insulted me.
I just think there are a lot of people who are just as learned,
okay.
who are just as much seekers of wisdom and truth as I am, and as you are.
Yes, sir.
So I'm not gonna dumb it down to accommodate anybody.
But I'm gonna ask you to explain. But you know what? I am going certain words I don't understand. So somebody in my audience don't understand. I am going to ask you to break it down, like we break down a fraction. Break it down to the least common form.
I told you earlier that you were an iconoclast and didn't even know it.
I don't even know what that is.
You know, we talked about the word iconoclast. Which basically meant somebody who was an attacker of cherished or established beliefs, and you do it for fun, almost like the devil's advocate. Mm-hmm. And from what I know about you, brother, it seems that you enjoy being an iconoclast of sorts and having kind of an iconoclastic personality or viewpoint about this, which I don't mind. So you can be the devil's advocate, and we can go from there. But as far as to answer your question as to whether or not this man is deserving of a time cut or a leniency, or whether or not he's deserving of it. Personally, I feel like he's done enough time. I mean, under the circumstances in which he was sentenced. To answer your question.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you something about the corruption on the Chicago Police Department, the CPD. I may be saying it wrong. I want to ask you something.
Sure.
Why is it?
Why?
Why is it that when an average citizen dies, there's no remorse, but when a police officer, a law enforcement person gets killed, we have seen the mayor cry on television, and we have seen the superintendent of the police department cry a wail on television, but when the average citizen gets killed, they don't show the same love. But if a police gets killed, they're gonna spend all their resources to, why? And we pay them. We pay them.
You mean why the?
Why is it they cry and they wail and say we're gonna find him? Which I'm not talking about police officers, but why don't they give that same urgency and care towards the average citizen when they get our taxpayers' money? I'm asking.
Well, first of all, you kind of have to understand something about the origin and the history of the police department in and of itself. First of all, if you look at the police department as a whole, especially now in this country and across the country, you'll find that there's a lot of good cops, but there's also a lot of very bad cops. Okay, a lot of bad. When I say bad, I don't mean that they're just evil, mean-spirited, malicious people, but there are a lot of cops who just have bad intentions, who have bad viewpoints, and people who have been misinformed and programmed and indoctrinated to kind of see certain people.
I want to follow up with something.
In a certain light. So now, when you start talking about tragedies that befall cops in this city or in this state or whatnot, and I think that it is incumbent upon other cops to show that particular kind of concern or emotion about it, because they're all in the same club, so to speak. So, that could easily have been one of them. So, had they not shown any kind of emotional concern along those lines, wouldn't they realize that the same thing could have happened to them, and they wouldn't have wanted anybody to take a solid or unemotional.
Oh, they show the same love towards the average citizen. I'm saying because we're paying them, man.
Are we living in a police state, would you say?
Yes, we are.
You would say?
Almost.
That's a very dangerous statement to make.
It's all right. I know about the Patriots Act.
Yeah, but do you know how?
Now he's doing it. Go ahead.
Well, do you know how the police got started in the first place?
What happened is the slaves got away, and they said we're going to make a paddy wagon and we're going to catch them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you said
they were called paddy rollers.
Okay.
In the beginning, and there was a reason why they were called paddy rollers. These were the people that were sent out who enjoyed going out to capture the absconding or runaway slaves and whatnot, this, that, and the other, runaway African slaves, I would like to put. And they enjoyed that, and for some reason, they had a tendency to hire a lot of Irish people. Irish were just coming over, immigrating over to this country from Europe.
Mayor Daley.
And they were kind of looked down upon, so to speak. They were looked upon as being the white niggers of Europe, so to speak, the Irish were. So when they came here, they caught hell. But somehow or another, as they began to rise up the ladder socially, economically, and whatnot, they were allowed to be put in charge of the policing departments in areas. They started out as slave catchers and this, that, and the other. And if you look around the city, most of your cops seem to be of an Irish ethnic background. And a lot of them bring to the table a lot of their biases, their traditional biases that they've had all along toward people of color.
And I asked you something, but you made a profound statement. You said that they're good cops. Let me ask you a question. If you are a good cop, how is it? Would you classify this as good if you knew that your partner was collecting money from a drug house and you didn't say anything about it? There's corruption. There is a code of silence on the police department. So is an officer good if he subjects himself and submits to the code of silence? Is he good?
Well, to answer your question,
I'm saying code of silence means is
the blue code.
Blue code. Yeah. If I know he's doing something and I don't say anything, to me you're just as evil. I can tell you where drug house is operating there right now, and the policemen, are they good?
Well, I don't. First of all, that becomes a matter or a question of ethics.
Okay.
Depends on what kind of ethics you have. But when I say good cops, I basically am referring to those people who just see it as a job, as a means to an end. and I mean, you know, for some reason, it's easier to get a job or employment in this society as on that particular side of the field more so than anywhere else. I mean, you can be a security guard, cops. They even let ex-convicts and everybody. Anybody can become.
Are they good?
Well, like I said before, it becomes a matter of ethics, and with the ones that I consider good are the ones who just see it as being a job. Now, the ones who take this particular position and they manipulate and they use it for their own purposes to express their own means, their own feelings, biased feelings toward people and whatnot, that's a whole nother animal, brother. And there are a lot of them that do that, you know. Okay. And some people just see it as a job. They approach it and they deal with it as simply being a means to an end, a means of income and employment for themselves and their family. And those are the ones that I feel like are good cops, and they're well-meaning.
I would say that there's very few.
I'm in agreement with you.
And I would say first of all, I'm acting like I'm doing the interview. It's okay. But you know what? I would say the majority of them, they work inside the precinct. Not the ones inside of the police precinct department.
But indoors?
Yes.
Oh, the higher ups, the hierarchy.
And the lower ranks.
Yeah, well, the lower ranks are not shot callers. You know what I'm saying? They're not shot callers at all. They basically are people who have been trained almost like robotic automatrons to see things a certain way and give a certain reaction. And if something happens that's not within that area of which they've been robotically trained to deal with their encounter, they don't know what to do.
Okay.
Like encountering someone who knows the law.
I mean, you know, as we talk about that, man, there are unsolved murders that are going on in Chicago, and I would like for you to explain to me in the audience, how in the hell is it that Mayor Emanuel's son or daughter could get killed, Obama's daughter could get killed, Mayor Lightfoot's daughter could get killed, and they would find the person. They would use all their resources, but the average citizen, there's so many damn unsolved murders, they wouldn't get the same urgency. Why? That's not right, bruh.
Well, I think that you kind of just answered your own question. You said they will use all of their resources.
Yeah.
That's basically it in a nutshell. The fact that when one of their own, especially a high-profile member of their particular order is assaulted or offended in that particular order, they go all out about it. And I'm not saying that's fair. They should go all out about any particular murder of anybody for that matter. But when it's one of them, all of a sudden it takes on an entirely different new magnitude. And but when you talk about murders, I think that more outstanding than all of that is the fact that they have all of these murders that have been occurring with us as black people, especially our women and kids across this country. There are thousands. I mean, our people have been coming up. Nobody seems to want to address the issue of the missing children, the missing girls and women, and the missing people, black people who've been coming up missing in this country, all across the country for that matter. They've been coming up missing, and when some of their bodies are found, their organs are displaced and taken out. They've been disemboweled and whatnot. You don't hear anybody really addressing that. And I think that they should declare a state of emergency. I think that it's at the point where it should be declared a state of emergency in terms of the amount of instances where we're being murdered and we're found murdered and disappearing.
Let me digress. I want to ask you, why is there urgency when it comes to Mayor Lightfoot's daughter and Obama's daughter and ex-Mayor Emanuel's son or daughter? And they say to hell with the people that live on the low end of 79th Street, 87th Street. I'm talking about Chicago. I'm not.
Well,
why?
I don't believe that they're saying to hell with them. I just don't believe that they're putting as much energy and resources
What's the difference?
It. Well, again, we're talking about the people who are on the higher rungs of the ladder, having experienced or been impacted by certain things that affect the everyday person, and they go all out.
Is it right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that they should put the same amount of effort into investigating and bringing to justice the same perpetrators as much as they would anybody else. Absolutely not.
Unsolved murders. And do you have a warning? There are young ladies that are going outside at night, and it's starting to happen in the broad day. Where they are being abducted And you know what? And they're finding these bodies, and there's no organs in them. What is your feeling? There's hearts missing. There's lungs missing. Why? What's going on, man?
Well, first of all, it's not being publicized. And when we talk about these things, we almost talk about it in whispers. See, you know, we as black people, we have a habit of not wanting to be truthful about real issues for fear of offending the dominant culture or offending the powers that be. We're in such a state, and we've always been in such a state where we're not at liberty to speak the peace, speak the truth about how we feel about certain issues. Now, all of the people that are coming up missing and found disemboweled and their organs and the internal parts and everything like that taken out of them and whatnot, we know that this is happening. But what I'd like to know is that why are they not publishing or at least publicizing the racial aspect of how many of these people, these missing bodies and whatnot, are people of color versus people of Caucasian backgrounds? I don't think that there's a equal or a fair amount of people being subjected to these.
What would be your message to the person that is harvesting organs that may be looking at this right now? What is your message to them?
Well, first of all, if they're black and they're helping people if they're of color and they're out here helping people outside of our particular social ethnic group and whatnot to capture us and murder us and whatnot for profit. They do these things for profit. They say that it's the new dope game. You can sell an organ. A person's liver or kidney and whatnot is worth thousands of dollars on the black market. And I would imagine that they got some stooges, they got some Uncle Tom Negroes running around here that might be helping these people capture those of us and use our body parts for their particular purpose and for their own financial good. And those particular people, I think, really are worthy of condemnation and whatever subsequent consequences we can subject them to.
And Ace, you know what, there's another thing, you know, with these young ladies that are coming up missing. I'm talking about in Chicago, but I know it's happening globally.
All over the country.
Okay, there are people that are cannibals, okay? There are people that eat other people. I don't know if you're aware of this. There are black markets in Europe where you can buy body parts, where you can buy eyes, you can buy legs. And I did the research on this, brother, and they have cookbooks for eyes, legs. What is your message to them, man? Because they're, like I said, they're black markets.
Well, I think we're talking about two totally different
I'm
subjects.
talking about the women being abducted and being used
Well,
for
you were talking about cannibalism. I'm talking also about organ harvesting, where people are being captured and killed and being having their internal organs taken out and sold for profit on the black market. But I also believe that there's another aspect to this, which is something about human sacrifices. And these human sacrifices, are taking place for any number of reasons and whatnot. Some of them are supposedly spiritual or cultists.
Talking about the Illuminati and all that.
Well, I don't know if I only speak about the things that I know.
Okay.
I don't guesstimate. I mean, sometimes I will if I'm in the company of people that it's okay to do that. But as a rule, I don't guesstimate as much as I like to rely on documented fact. And I know that they have these secret organizations that are into human sacrifice. They've always been there. Now, the part about cannibalism, to me, Jeffrey Dahmer comes to mind. I think he's the face of
Hannibal
cannibalism.
Lecter, man.
Well, Hannibal Lecter was a movie, but Jeffrey Dahmer and all of that bunch was real. So, and there are some people who have some real mental issues and whatnot who resort to cannibalistic behavior and whatnot, and just not knowing, not being of a sound state of mind. So we're talking about a very, very broad area here. You know, very broad.
Any comment on it, though?
Well, I mean, I'm opposed to it. I'm adamantly opposed to anybody subjecting anybody to those particular types of measures for whatever sake, for whatever purpose. And, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that. Where is that from, by the way? That particular.
Brother, that's probably China.
See, we need to know better. Now that could be corpses. Those are corpses. Is that a human corpse
That's a human corpse.
And what is that lined up against the wall?
So that's meat.
That's what I thought. Those are animal corpses. And we know now that some countries, especially places in China, have been known to take those body parts of deceased persons and ground it up and mix it in with regular consumer products and with consumer beef and meat and what we know now. But then again, didn't Burger King and all those, didn't they find horse meat It's been documentally found.
Yes,
burgers.
alleged.
No,
Yeah.
no, they found proof.
Okay.
And they admit it. I only speak about what I know.
Okay.
They found proof of a lot of their so-called 100% ground beef products being mixed and blended in with horse meat, which is probably not as offensive as human body parts, but we know that it has happened.
Let me say something.
Yes, sir.
You know, we got two minutes here. You talking about modern day slavery. You
Yes.
can spend a minute on it.
Well, first of all,
Sex slaves.
you talking about specifically sex slaves?
Women being used for sex slaves once they abducted.
Well, again, that's a whole nother area because, you know, into organ harvesting and then kidnapping and holding people hostage and whatnot for use as sex slaves, that's something that's been going on almost since the time immemorial. Okay, that's been going on. But a lot of times a person will hire themselves out as an indentured servant or as a worker, or at least apply as a worker, whatever, and then find out after the fact that this is part of the job that they've signed on to, and that's when it becomes a matter of involuntary servitude or as a sex slave.
Okay, you know what? I got to tell the people, assalamu alaikum. Do you have a finishing comment, a warning the ladies, or anything?
I wish that as collectively we would all get together and address this issue of missing black people being missing and murdered all across the country. I don't think that there's enough of a fanfare. I think that we should mount a collective, a gigantic collective effort to address this particular issue and bring it to the forefront of the public's awareness and whatnot, because most people don't know what's happening. Our young women are still running around here thinking that everything is okay, everything is hunky-dory, and it's not. I mean, we're in a state of emergency. These people are killing us all across the board.
You know,
wearing masks like black people, they run around wearing masks. All these murders that are happening, I believe that some of those murders are taking place on a foul basis and whatnot. If you get around to it.
Okay, you know, thank you, Brother Ace, for coming on. I'm gonna say assalamu alaikum to everybody. And peace and blessings. And you know what, if you have any suggestions about a show that you would like to see in the future, or subject matters, I would like for you to send something to my P.O. box. Send me something. You have classified information or unclassified information. I get in trouble for that. But you know what? Anything, just send me a message to my P.O. box, and I really would appreciate that, because I need to know what you think. I need to know, this thing can come down now. I need to know what type of shows you want to talk about, what type of subject matter you want to talk about. And you know what, if you like to share it on YouTube. Assalamu alaikum. Good. But you know something, man, it's like